We are 170 years old. It was on December 6, 1877 that the Washington Post published its first issue, 4 pages, that cost 3 cents, bringing politics, world affairs, and local intrigue to the nation's capital. What made news that day? And that was just one day. The first day. Katharine Graham was burned in effigy, but refused to give in during a violent strike. For 170 years, the Post has been reporting and writing the day's news. Every day we were founded after Reconstruction, during a time when newspapers were clearly partisan. Our founder was a Democratic journalist, Stilson Hutchins. But he sold the paper in 1889 to a bipartisan pair, a Republican Postmaster General and a former Democratic congressman. John Philip Sousa was commissioned to write the Washington Post March, in honor of the sale. The piece remains one of Sousa's best-known works. Right away, the Post had influence across the country, beyond Washington. And that was before we defied the courts and published the Pentagon Papers in 1971, before our coverage of the Watergate scandal forced the resignation of President Nixon 3 years later. And before Hollywood decided that stars like Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman should portray Post reporters Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein in All the President's Men, the movie about Watergate. Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep star in a movie in theaters later this month about our decision to publish the Pentagon Papers. It's called The Post. The battle cry for American sailors remember the Maine during the Spanish-American War back in 1898? The Post printed that. A 1902 cartoon that showed Theodore Roosevelt bonding with a small bear cub that became the inspiration for the teddy bear? That's us, too. From the Spanish-American War to World Wars I and II, the Korean War, Vietnam War, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria, hundreds of Washington Post reporters have been risking their lives to bring home the news. Reporters have been there to record our nation's social revolutions, civic upheavals, impeachments, resignations, 28 presidents, thousands of weddings, births, and deaths. And when we get it wrong, it would be impossible to write so much. Every day, flawlessly we correct it. Fastidiously and sometimes famously. In 1915, the Washington Post printed what still holds the record for one of the worst newspaper typos. It was a story about President Woodrow Wilson's love life. The president gave himself up for the time being to entering his fiancée. The story was supposed to say he was entertaining, not entering Edith Galt. Oops, we owned up to it and scrambled to recall papers already on the stands. Then, we corrected it. Swiftly. The corrections section remains one of the most engaging reads in the paper. And it's a testament to holding ourselves accountable. Happy birthday to Real News, 170 years of it. In case you're still wondering who to trust, read more Retropoulos. Nixon was obsessed with leaks. It led to Watergate and ruin. The fake news that haunted George Washington. The war on Christmas predates Trump and Fox News by almost 400 years. Britain's Black Queen, will Meghan Markle really be the first mixed-race royal?